injections.
My name is Nicholas Mann, and I am the founder of the pharmaceutical company Mao Now. We make various beauty creams and injections to make you look young. But when I heard that a man was going to present a youth machine at a scientific conference, I was afraid that all my work would just collapse, and we wouldn't be able to sell anything with our partners. I decided to find out and went to this scientific exhibition. Each scientist will showcase his or her development for which they can receive $1 million. Scientists have gathered from all over the world. They will all show their scientific research.
Professor Michdevaisky will be the first to speak with his scientific research that will help people stop aging. He made a special machine, a real device that will help restore youth in 1 minute. I hadn't seen anything like it, so I was very interested in what it was and how it worked. Professor Michdevaisky and his assistant Jessica came on stage. We greet them with loud applause. We are about to witness a phenomenal event. A man appeared on the stage and took a woman away. She was old, maybe 60 years old. All the people started watching as the woman entered a special machine and an iron door closed behind her. The sound was terrible. I can't even explain what it sounded like. Maybe like an electric saw. A minute later, the door opened and a young girl came out. All the people were scared. There was a commotion in the hall, and someone even shouted that it was a hoax.
It's a hoax!
When the award ceremony was held, Professor Michdevaisky won first place. But after the conference, I went up to him and offered to buy his car from him. He told me the amount. It was insanely high, but I thought that I could earn much more with such a car. A year passed, and I never heard anything more about Professor Michdevaisky, from whom I bought that miracle invention. But I became a millionaire and very rich. I opened a clinic where I turned old people into young people. The queues were unreal. People really wanted to become young and beautiful. I became very rich, but over time relatives of my patients began to contact me and say that their relatives who had undergone the rejuvenation procedure began to disappear. I did not understand how this was connected, so I decided to check how the miracle device works myself. At the end of the day, I went to the ward where there was a special machine, but I was scared. What if I couldn't get myself back? So I offered our cleaner to be my patient for free, because the procedure cost $10,000. I said it was my gift, but I lied. The woman got into the car and in a minute became a young girl. She was very beautiful and gentle, and I could hardly resist hitting on her. The next day, Joe's cleaning lady didn't come to work. I decided to put the camera in the rejuvenation machine and wait for the next patient. The patient arrived, a 45-year-old man. I sat down to watch the video on my phone, and I was scared by what I saw. Inside, an iron saw was waiting for the man, which cut off his legs, arms, and then turned his body into a kind of oily liquid, which was then subjected to special treatment. Only his brain remained in a special jar. Then the machine moved the jar with the brain to a special hole where it poured it into a new body and placed the brain in the young man's head. He went out, and I asked him to stay today for examination. The man was lying in the ward. When night fell, I went to check on him, but I saw him get up and start walking somewhere. I quietly followed him. People began to leave their homes and walk towards the forest, which was not far from the city. I began to recognize these people as my patients. We were going to a clearing where there was a large field. I was walking with all the people, but I was following a man who had become young the day before. He started to take off his clothes and the people were naked. I heard a noise overhead and saw a spaceship lowering its iron door, and naked people started to get inside. I went with them. I saw everything. I undressed too so as not to attract the attention of others. I walked naked in a crowd of people to the spaceship, where we were given purple overalls and placed in a special room. I sat down in a special chair with a lot of space and fastened my seatbelt. We started to take off. It was amazing but scary at the same time. Then I left and went to see what was on the ship. I went into a room where there was a huge jar of red liquid. This jar was connected to the box itself. When I went further, I saw that there was someone's eye in that jar. And then I got really scared. I went back to my chair. A man dressed as an astronaut came up to me and gave me a plate. He said that we would eat now. People went to the dining room, and I saw a tap where people were getting their food. It was that consistency from the can. What is this? I thought. I didn't want to eat it. People started to eat everything quickly and turn into monsters. They started to become scary monsters of green and red color. They were driven into a big cage. It was a zoo of asylum seekers who had just been replenished with a batch of new creatures. I hid under a table and saw that Mitch Devisky, the professor from the exhibition, had come in. He was in charge. He had an agreement with the alien beings that he would make sure that humans would be their toys. And he developed this machine that replaces the body with the body of a dead but young person. They put in a brain to make this bionic construct move. And they put in a chip so that they could control people. I couldn't do anything else and thought that the end of humanity had come. But suddenly my head started to splinter with pain and I lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes, I realized I was in a hospital. What's going on? Where's that spaceship? I thought. But it turned out that I was hallucinating. My business partner had drugged me with powerful drugs to kill me and take away our joint business. As it turned out, Mikhail Devisky's experiment was a failure. Nothing happened. The old woman came out as old as she was. I left the hospital and sold my shares in the pharmaceutical company to other owners. Because I don't want to be involved in disfiguring people anymore. Because people are beautiful even without these beauty injections. For me, it was a lesson that gave me a new life. And the second one was arrested for attempted murder.
This horror story is about a doctor who wanted to make money and bought a rejuvenation machine at a scientific conference. However, his patients began to disappear after the procedure. Then the doctor followed one of the patients and saw a terrifying sight. Space creatures were taking people's bodies into a spaceship and making soup out of them. At the end of the story, we realized that the main character was poisoned. It was all a hallucination. After that, the doctor finished his work in the beauty field and began to live an everyday life.